in which they are aborting to preserve their own lifestyle, you think that'd be morally permissible?
Yeah, I think majority abortions are morally permissible. Yeah.
So then I'd ask you, like, well, one, what do you value? What aspects do you think give people more value?
Oh well, so I think the fetus isn't the type of being that can really be harmed very much by dying. A couple
Mm,
of things I think that harms people when they die are, their future and their
mm,
interest. So it's a
mm,
mix of their future and their interest. Now, the fetus doesn't have any interest, doesn't value its life, doesn't have any cognitive faculties that, I would say that are required for death to significantly harm the being.
mm.
So I think that abortion doesn't really harm the fetus and therefore it's morally permissible.
Well, I'd say that, like, specifically in like other situations. So, for example, in which there's a brain dead person, most people still would generally be against, for example, brutally dissecting and like sexually assaulting this brain dead person, even though their death wouldn't actually like significantly affect them in the same way it would for a regular person. I think we still should as like assign them more value as well. Also, the thing you said
Well,
about how.
you're not
Mhm.
against, you know, assaulting these people or essaying these brain dead people because they have robust moral value or substantial moral value or they're persons.
I
You're
think
against doing this for other reasons.
I think the reason as to why I'm against doing it is generally because I value things with like anthropomorphic traits, and I also value things which are part of like the human species. So I don't really care about like a specific part of the development stage. I value it like just generally. So when you say the reason why like harm death would be harmful in some cases would be due to, for example, it having a future, right, and it having interest, even in situations which we don't know if this person actually wants to live or die. E.g., you see a guy fall across over the street and then you see him keel over. Most people would go, their first instinct would be to go and save him. Reason being is because we generally just assume that every being wants to continue its survival. So in the same way, I think the thing that would actually like say is immoral there is depriving a future conscious experience, which obviously the fetus seems to have, even more so than any other living individual.
Yeah, well, look, I don't think that depriving someone of a future value or of their future experiences, as you're saying, is what
Mm-hmm.
harms them. I think it's a mix of, their future experiences and certain interests they have. And in the cases you gave me in which people don't have those interests, for example, the brain dead person, I don't think we're valuing the person because they're brain dead. I think we don't want to essay the brain, the being that's brain dead, even if they're not a person.
So why do you think, okay, when I just ask you, why do you first, do you extend like, or do you think that, for example, a fly would have more moral value than a fetus? And secondly, how would you reconcile, why would you say people would be generally be averse to essaying this like brain dead person, but they wouldn't actually be averse to to like having sex with a sex doll?
Okay, the first thing I wanted to mention is that I'm not really mentioning anything directly about moral value. I'm more
Mm.
so speaking about, you know,
What
the harm
people
that
generally.
you can do to the fetus.
Mm.
So my stance isn't one that's delving into the person of the conversation right now. It's
Yeah.
dealing as to whether or not you can significantly harm the fetus.
Yeah.
And
So do you think that, like, you were, just to clarify, you can continue right after, do you think that if we were like, for example, the fetus has less cognitive faculties than a fly, yet most people would generally be, if they had to like save in a burning building and there was a fetus and a set of flies that were just buzzing around, most people would still be fine with saving the fetuses over the flies? Do you think that there's any specific reason why our intuitions are going towards that rather than like this current conscious being? Or how would
yeah,
you
because
reconcile?
first of all, I mean, I think being human is valuable, but only, once you have certain interest. Um, and you might even want to say that people want to encourage beings with valuable conscious experiences. So people think that life is a good thing and people should promote life. So maybe one reason
Mm-hmm.
they would save the fetus is not because the fetus is currently a person, but because they want to promote life. And
Mm-hmm.
additionally, the flies just have so little conscious experiences, like so little of a conscious experience that people aren't really going to value a fly. They
Yeah.
might value promoting um, experiences in the future of human beings more so than they do a fly, because a fly just doesn't have,
Yeah.
the level they
Generally,
care about.
yeah, so generally, like I'm fine with that, like explanation. Just that it has a potential for like a higher range of conscious experience than a fly. So we generally value that over like the kind of experience of a fly. So if we just go with that, then we all like can agree and hold hands here that fetuses do have like a future conscious experience, and we do value that future conscious experience. Then it seems to make no sense to me even to try and assert that just because the mother has some form of lifestyle choice in which she's going through, because most abortions to my recollection are lifestyle choices, or even if we say in like situations of like rape for example, it seems to make no sense to me aside from like the issues that the mother will have to say that it would be completely moral to abort this baby, because if the baby still possesses the thing that we value, which would be the future potential for conscious experience, no moral factor that changes aside from like the what's it called, aside from what's going to happen to the mother. But then again, I don't understand why like consequences to the mother is going to be sufficient justification to kill this thing.
Okay, the thing you're confusing is, well, we have a general duty to promote, these future valuable
Mm-hmm.
experiences. We're not valuing a person per se because of their future valuable experiences. So when you're saying that we're giving the fetus this robust moral value because they will have these valuable experiences in the future, we're not. What we're saying is there's a general duty to promote life,
Mm-hmm.
and that general duty to promote life is rather weak. We don't give people super strong moral obligations to get pregnant and raise children. It's more of a general duty people have to bring about life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a difference between saying that we have a general duty to bring about life and giving substantial moral value to the fetus because it has the potential for, rational experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I understand what you mean. So the first part is like I disagree with it just being a general duty that we don't assign much more value to. I'd say that the reason why our general feeling to we need to like we don't really need as much kids would be I'm pretty sure is due to an overpopulation issue that the world has. So even if we like this general duty to promote life, well of course it's only going to be good to a certain extent because then you could argue that like overtly having too many kids, right, is going to like lead to general just downsides to like the world overall. However, that doesn't speak to its like moral value. So I think that our value
Well,
that we
look,
place into the potential of the conscious experience for these things that we hold, like
but
the
I'm
value.
drawing an important distinction where I'm not giving substantial moral value to the fetus. I'm saying that your
Mhm.
intuitions are explained here because we have a general duty to promote
Yeah,
life.
I'd say that like we don't really have that like general intuition to like promote like or to ask or to like ask pregnant people go and have babies. I don't think we generally have those intuitions anymore. I think the reason why we still do have intuitions that these fetus actually should wish like it would be immoral to abort them isn't instead of it being because we just want to see more like kids in the world, right? It's they really have this thing that we value and in order to remain consistent, we value it on a day-to-day basis. We value it every single time we're going about life. So it makes no real
I,
sense
I,
to
I don't I don't
it here.
think I don't think that's quite right. The first thing you said is I think people are showing this intuitions that we value human life like simpliciter. And a lot of accounts show that's not the case. For example, people are walking around with posters saying it's just a clump of cells. People don't share the intuition that the zygote are just a clump of cells there at conception has robust moral value. In fact, they think it's absurd. So people's intuitions don't line up with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Secondly, there's plenty of positions in the literature uh, that emphasize that as the fetus develops, it gains some moral value. And people's intuition seem to track well with, okay, as the fetus develops and seems to resemble us more, that's when it gains more moral value. So people aren't sharing your intuitions that generally we have this, assign this robust moral value to human beings. In fact, I would say people's intuitions say the opposite.
So to respond to like the it's just a clump of cells argument, I think that sometimes whenever people are going into like the streets and protesting about these specific topics and saying it's just a clump of cells, I genuinely think that the reason as to why they have these some form of intuitions is due to like a lack of understanding about the topic. If you actually looked deeper into the topic, for example, just saying, "Oh, it's just a clump of cells. Why should they have any value?" Right? So most pro-choice people don't actually assign this thing any form of value, right? However, we know that this thing does actually still have some form of value because it has potential value, right? However,
No, wait,
people
wait,
who say it's
no.
just a clump of cells don't really like consider those type of values that people who are looking deeper into it than most other people would actually like have.
Well, look,
And the only
you're saying that people generally have these intuitions, and I'm saying no, they don't. Just look at what they're doing. Secondly, even when people look deeper into the topic, they still don't find the zygote as a having robust moral value.
I mean,
They might give it some moral value, but definitely not a lot to consider it a person or anything like
I
that.
mean, they. I don't know what you like mean whenever you say personhood, because generally I just like consider that if the zygote just has potential for life, it has a very high potentiality for life, and then with over time, if you give it the right nutrition, then it will become into an actual person. Even though I agree that we do value things more, the more they start to look like humans, like we value anthropomorphic looking beings, right? Regardless of that, I don't think personal appearance actually bears any weight on what we should actually value, because then we wouldn't like value ugly people if they didn't look like us, right? And most people would say that valuing people because they look different is like wrong, right? So I
Wait,
generally
so you're
think.
not valuing. You're not look. You're not valuing things just because they look similar to you. In fact, people can look
Mhm.
very different from you, and you can still empathize with them and see similarities that you care about.
So what do you
Like,
think? Wait, what do you think the reason would be whenever the fetus like continues to develop and it begins to like look more like a fully grown baby? Let's say someone just didn't
because
know
wait,
anything.
because we can empathize with beings that are more similar to us, and we don't empathize with beings that are vastly different from us. That's why it's hard for us to empathize with ants and flies because they
Yeah,
don't share anything in common with us that we can empathize with. So when the
I
fetus
mean,
grows and resembles us more, we begin to start empathizing with the fetus more.
I think the reason, like, I mean, most upon like it's beginning to look more like a human, we begin like, let's say we actually do begin to like empathize with it more, and we actually do begin to like value it more. I think generally the reason as to why that is would it actually be due to some form of like moral distinction that, or even moral distinction. It would most likely just be due to the fact that it looks more anthropomorphic, as I said before. So again, I can give you a perfect example of this. Most people don't actually know all of the physiological facts about like a fetus that starts to look like a baby, right? However, the mere fact that it does look a little bit like a baby, right, is going to convince some people to actually place some form of value onto it, and they're going to be like adverse to actually doing this thing towards it. So I generally just think that the thing we're valuing here, rather than it being some form of like okay, anyway, rather than it being some form of like physical difference between the two, it would be we value its potentiality and we value it being actualized. So the more it grows, the more like this potentiality for it to have conscious experience is being actualized, and then its value grows on and on and on from then. If you
Look,
get what I mean.
no, no. Obviously, someone's going to disagree with that. We value the potentiality for these certain things. Can you tell me,
Mhm.
like, besides the fetus, what other entities do you think my moral system is leaving out by not valuing the potential for these, conscious attributes?
Well, repeat what you said.
Besides the fetus, what other entities do you think that my value is not capturing? I'm sorry, that my view is not capturing.
Repeat back to me your value system, real quick, 'cause let me not misconstrue
Okay,
it.
so here's a simple thing. I value things with that have certain interest and cognitive faculties, and then I
Mm-hmm.
value, certain beings we can empathize with, like cows and pigs.
Mm.
So those are the types of things that I value. And I'm telling you, like, what things besides the fetus does my system seems to leave out?
In a situation in which, like, for example, you did not, or you had no facts about whether or not this, for example, you see an old man, you don't know whether or not he wants to live or die. There could be a chance that he's suicidal, or like there's a 50% chance he's suicidal. There's a 50% chance that he's not. Right? Would you say it's moral to go and save the guy from like dying? Let's say he's choking. Would you say it's
Obviously, that he's included in the beings I value.
so? But like, then what would be the interest specifically that you value there? Is it just value having any interest at all?
Well, yeah, having interest in the cognitive profile, those are things I care about. He has a cognitive
So
profile.
would you say like, okay, so just being able to like think of things, having like any form of I mean, then I generally just don't think like if it's interest or if like having interest that you value, then again I don't understand why you wouldn't also extend that type of value to insects, right? Our ability to empathize with these things, I think generally
I'm
would
not
be.
even sure. Okay, it's there might be the level of value of a level of interest of insects I don't particularly care about, and the second reason is I can't really empathize with insects, so I don't really value them much. I don't.
I mean, so like what's it called? I mean, the empathizing thing, I think that'll just be due to like you viewing them a certain way because look anthropomorphic to you. But like the interest part is the one that like, I mainly want to focus on because again, generally, if it's not just specific interest, it's also the levels of interest that they have, which would be like
Right?
kind of arbitrary to try and try and like determine. I don't know. Like if you try and say
What do you
there'd
mean
be some
arbitrary? That's
like there
very
seems
strange.
to be like oh, I mean there seems to be no relevant distinction at least between the interests of a fly and the interests of a cow. They all just want to eat, sleep, poop, and like die. Like I don't really see the difference between interests between the two of them.
Cows have more complex brains, more complex neurological structures. I don't. Obviously, there's a difference between the cognitive structure of a cow and the cognitive structure of a fly. I don't
I mean
understand.
I agree like they have a difference in cognitive structure, but like if I don't I think whenever people say interest, what most like what they're trying to
If you can obviously
Mhm.
see that there's a huge distinction between the interest of a 3-year-old and the interest of an 18-year-old, it should be no less absurd to see the difference between a cow and a fly. There's obviously huge difference in the cognitive structures there, and huge
Yeah, I
differences in the
agree. There's
interest
like
allowed.
I think there's a distinction between like what's it called in terms of how how like cognitively advanced they are and how physiologically advanced they are. However, I don't think like that would actually be any form of like significant basis to mean anything. Generally, interest in this context, all I mean it to be is just like they have any personal goals or things that they're trying to reach. In that sense, then they aren't distinct. But if it's you're going to talk about like a physiological form of distinction, right? In the same context, I'd ask you if suddenly you woke up one day and you had like the same cognitive faculties as a fly and you were only within that like state for an hour, do you think it would be moral for somebody to like shoot you and kill you and like dissect you and do all of these like heinous acts towards you because you're in this current state?
The first thing is that hypothetical is not even possible. I'm
Well,
essentially a human being. I'm a human being in every single possible world. There's not a single possible world where I am a fly. Um,
hmm,
and
yeah,
secondly, if I
I
was a
don't know.
fly, it would be like let's suppose that it was possible somehow that I was a fly. Uh, can my conscious experience be put in a fly? Then it's
Hmm?
sort of like you're changing the type of being a fly is at all. It's like a completely different type of being because now
I mean,
flies have robust values, robust interest toward their future. If my cognitive
yeah,
state was put in a
you
fly, they'd
said
have these complex thoughts that they obviously don't have now, or there's no good
yes,
scientific evidence for
you
them.
said like what's it called physiological structure as well. Like of course some of them are going to like have different like because I believe the mind is a material, so I don't think any form of like physical changes would actually mean anything towards like what's it called the subjective experience it has. So in the same way, right, if you value its like physical structure and like say the fly or the example you gave me is a 3-year-old compared to like a 10-year-old. Of course, the 3-year-old is going to be like less physically advanced but most people don't really like cite any form of distinction, at least morally, between a 3-year-old and a 10-year-old, regardless of the physiological like differences between them. A 10-year-old generally has way more like ideas, way more goals, way more dreams than a 3-year-old, right? Even though we like there are different points in time in which we have several like these values that we have, they change and decrease or increase massively. We still seem to possess like or give people equal value across all of these times. So to say
I honestly, I don't think so. I don't think we give people equal value across their whole life. I think, for example, imagine a 90-year-old compared to a 25-year-old. Which one would you save? You would obviously save the 25-year-old. That's
uh,
why the model that I think is the best is taking into account their future experiences and their interest and modeling, you know, that is who you would pick. So, for example, a
so
25-year-old, I need
mhm,
to finish. A 25
go
year old, for example, has the optimal, interest there and the optimal future experiences there to say that their life is generally more, death would harm them more than they harm anyone else. Um,
Okay, so question, you'd say that like for example, Let's say like a 60-year-old man, he has like the same like mental faculties as it was whenever he was in his prime, and then
No,
you
no, 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 no. We're just speaking generally here. I mean,
yeah, it's okay. So generally, right, you just you'd say most people would value, or like if they was in a burning building, most people would save a 25-year-old over a baby. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
oh yeah, actually, yeah, I think people would say the 25-year-old who has more interest than a baby.
So then, how would you like explain like all of that? I can name you like six different situations where like people have the option between saving like an adult and saving a child, and
Look, I
most
mean,
people
obviously, I think
they
the
try
thing
and
that
save the child first. Like, hello?
look, I
Like
think the
even
distinction. Wait, I think the first thing you said is that people value, like people like imagine you have like a 90-year-old and a 25-year-old, for example. Your claim that people would struggle to pick between these two people, since we value people the same all throughout their life, is absurd. I think obviously people are going to save a 25-year-old over a 90-year-old. Obviously,
uh
people don't value these people the same all throughout their life. You
okay,
lose
so
value when you become older.
would you say okay? So would you say that people value like a 70-year-old over a 1-year-old because they have like less interests, they have like less cognitive faculties?
Yeah, well, I think well, I certainly value a 17-year-old over a 1-year-old because the 1-year-old doesn't have any developed interest,
No, 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 no,
doesn't have
no,
like
no.
a
17
deep
year old.
connection with its family, doesn't have those things that I care about.
No, a 17-year old. Let's say there's just a loner. Like there's Gias. He's sitting at home. He's 70 years old.
That's foul. That's
And, like he has no friends, no family, nothing. Right? He's just sitting there. And because he's been a Discord debater all of his life, he has supreme mental faculties compared to the average person. Would you value him, this 70-year-old man, over this baby if we were to put both of them in a burning building?
um well, so you're saying the 17-year-old has more family and wait, the 70-year-old has more family and friends they care about?
The seven,
Care
no,
about
the
them?
1-year-old. Actually, put it like this: the 1-year-old is an orphan, and Gios just has no friends, no family.
Okay, there's a 1-year-old and they're an orphan,
Yes,
and then Gias has no friends and family. So
yes,
that's
that's also true right
so
now.
they both have no one who really cares about them, right?
Yeah, nobody else really who really cares about them. No,
Okay, yeah, then I would still save. How old is Gias again in this
Gios
scenario?
in this scenario, he's like 70. He looks it already, but
Yeah.
he is.
Um. In this case, I think I would save the 1-year-old because they have a whole future ahead of them.
They have a whole future ahead of them. So clearly, the thing that you value here wouldn't really be like cognitive faculties over all else, right?
No,
Because
wait. I
this,
told you already. The model is not just
yeah,
cognitive
yeah, yeah,
faculties.
yeah.
It's cognitive faculties plus
Mhm.
certain future experiences they will have.
Yeah, certain future experiences. So wouldn't you say, at least under your view, wouldn't you say that if this Gias, right, since he has advanced cognitive faculties, even if his future is limited, he would still like the future experience that he's going to have under your view at least would still be better compared to like the future experience of this 1-year old because he's able to experience more things under your view at least.
Well, wait. But the 7-year-old in this hypothetical doesn't have like really good cognitive faculties, right?
The 70-year-old, the 70-year-old is in the prime of his like life mentally, so he has the same mental like faculties as when he was like 25. All right, so again, even if I put you in this extreme hypothetical where both of them live for 1 year, Gion
Oh
still
yeah,
like for
I
all
would.
of them.
Yeah, I'd probably still save the 1-year-old just because of um
Yeah,
the amount of future experiences they had ahead of them. Anyway.
I mean, so would you say like if the future experience is the differentiating factor here under your view, where like your value changes over time, then how would you explain, for example, all of the instances where if I'm in a burning boat, or if like my boat is like falling down because some like fat ass like Gios sound there, and I start singing. And then all of the time, literally every single time, they're always gonna tell you, save the women and save the children, right? Do you think that even though these men hypothetically they have like better cognitive faculties than both of them, right? You think
Right.
they are all just making mistakes whenever they save their
Yeah,
women
yeah.
and
When people say generally save the woman and save the children, sometimes they are making mistakes. Sometimes you should save the man with the good cognitive faculties and the wide future ahead of them. I think they are making a mistake. Yeah,
Yeah. So okay. To be
it's
clear.
just a tradition, and it doesn't really weigh on the
Okay.
moral calculation being done here. And I also wanted to highlight that my case can deal with embryo rescue. Like my view can deal with embryo rescue cases, and your view seems to struggle there.
What do you mean by that?
So if there was like a burning building, and then there was five embryos, and then there
Mm-hmm.
was the one unconscious girl, as in the embryo rescue case, um,
Mm-hmm.
under your view, we'd have to save the five embryos over the one girl.
I mean, no. I mean,
Uh,
in these certain situations, right? I don't really like hold to like there's a objective right and objective wrong thing you need to do in this scenario. My morality is kind of a spectrum. So in the same way, if you give me the option to burn £20,000 and £10,000, I'm going to cry and sob and kick my feet
so
and
which one
like
could you do?
nuke servers, right? You like if I had to burn any money, but I'd still burn the one of less value. That is not to say that like the one with less value that I'm
Yeah, wait,
burning.
no one
Wait,
is saying, no one's saying it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Wait,
just
wait, but
saying,
like
no
I'm
one's
just trying
saying
to
that it's not
establish.
both, that
Mhm.
the things happening in both cases aren't bad. We're
No,
just
yeah,
saying that we
exactly.
think it's absurd that you would save five frozen embryos over one girl who's burning in the building.
No, but okay, well, I wouldn't say that I'm saving the five embryos over the one girl. I'd rather save the one girl. I think generally most people value things that are actual over things that are potential. So if you gave me the option that I should have £10 million when I wake up tomorrow, I have £10 million now, most people are going to say £10 million now. And the reason being is because most people like current things over future things.
Okay,
But both of
then
them,
that conflicts with your that conflicts
no,
with your
I
earlier
mean,
statement that things across all their life are just equally valuable, right? We
uh,
wouldn't.
things I mean, I think the thing that we value here is just them being a member of the human species, and then we also, additionally to that, we also value like,
Right, but
wait,
wait, did you not make the claim that all
Mhm.
across somebody's life they're equally valuable?
Yeah, no, I think they have equal value. Yeah, I think they have equal
Wait,
intrinsic
you
value.
think the five frozen embryos have equal value to the girl, yet you would save the girl over the five frozen
Yeah,
embryos?
okay. You want me to establish? Okay, I think that they both have all the same intrinsic value, right? So as a whole, they wake up, they all have like the same base value, and then additionally to that, they gain extra things, which would be like what's it called, which would increase their value, right? But we wouldn't say that, for example, you deny one of them the basic right to life compared
Yeah,
to the
wait,
other
so
one.
what would
Like, of
increase
course,
the
like
girl's
nobody would
value
agree.
so much that you
So in
would
the
save them
same,
over the five
yeah.
embryos?
So, for example, they have like personal relations to other people. They already have like what's it called? They have a fully functioning
Okay,
brain. They have
let's
this
say
thing
that they
they
don't
know.
have personal
Yeah,
relations.
they don't have personal relations.
Wait,
They
and
already,
also, why would her brain matter if they have the same intrinsic value? I take it that the
yeah,
brain matters because you think it
yeah.
contributes to the intrinsic
The
value.
brain, okay, the brain matters there because if they are like bodies, if they are just physically superior to these fetuses, they're able to like do a lot more than the fetuses. We're able to derive at least generally more value from this person, right? They generally will provide more benefit to the world compared to these like fetuses within this current moment. So if I'm going to make a current moment decision, right, and I'm going to say who do I value more in right now, right? Of course, I'm going to value the fetus, or of course I'm going to value the fetus less than the person right now, right? However, even if this thing does have more value in future, if I'm valuing this thing currently, then of course I'd say that like I'd value the woman over the fetus. That really, I don't think that's really like a defeater to my view.
Oh, wait. So you're saying currently that the girl is doing what?
Okay,
Like currently,
currently
what's the difference?
currently the girl, right? Because obviously like the difference here would be we value potentiality, so we value stuff in the future. But if you're going to give me a situation of what do you value more right now, which is the entire point of a burning building, or do you value more right now, then we'd have to like weigh up what currently within actuality which one has traits that we value, even though they do have the same intrinsic value, right?
Yeah,
These
wait.
other
I
things
didn't
that
say
we
that.
do
Look,
value,
I didn't look. So you're saying they have the same intrinsic value, but I think it seems really absurd to say that five people with the same. You would pick one person who has the same intrinsic value of five people just because some instrumental value they have, and this instrumental value isn't even big. The 5-year-old can't go out of work. There's people who need to take care of the 5-year-old. The same way there's people who need to take care of these frozen embryos. There doesn't seem to be this huge payoff you're trying to lay out where this 5-year-old is this productive member of society and is bringing this insane instrumental value there. It
if
just
the
doesn't
five
exist.
Okay, if we're making a split second decision between the two and the 5 year old has any form of value that allows it to be weighed up against, like if we put them both on a scale, right, and both of them still have the same intrinsic value, right, so then they'd be equal. And then you add the fact that this 5 year old, right, of course, it's going to have like more things that it can do compared to this other one, right? Clearly, it's going to be more
Wait,
physically
wait,
able
yeah,
to
no
actually.
one's saying
Wait,
that the
wait,
5-year-old can't
yeah,
do more things than the frozen
yes,
embryo.
so
But
it's going
look,
to.
I'm saying
Mhm.
that like there is
So
no way
within
you
the
actually
moment, you'd
think
have more
that.
value.
Look, there's no way you actually think that the instrumental value that a 5-year-old gives to society, the 5-year-old can't work, it needs parents to take care of it, is going to outweigh
Yes.
the value of 5 people. In what other cases would you say you should pick the 5 people over one because
If
one
you
has more
if you
instrumental
look at
value?
it, if you look at it from like an outside a split second, like a split second example, then you'd also have to factor in all of the stuff you have to do to be able to actualize the potential for both of them to, like, let's say, like become fully functioning members of society. So if we have like these embryos, then of course these embryos are going to need to be somewhere to actually live. They're going to need to be somewhere to survive. Compared to the 5 year old, the 5 year old is completely way less maintenance than the embryos because the embryos are going to actually go through the exact same phase as well. So clearly, there's a lot more stuff that we need to do to actually like actualize its potential compared to the 5 year old, compared to the fetus. Yeah. So I'd simply just say that the instrumental value that it has, right, in this context, the 5 year old would be greater, as well as the fact if you compare both of them as well, the value that we lose or the stuff that we lose, for example, all of the resources that we lose into trying to like save these embryos is going to be
Okay,
take way,
let me
way
just
more,
modify the case then. Let me just
way
modify
more
the
like.
case. Wait,
Mhm.
let me just modify the case. Say that the girl in the hypothetical was strapped to a bed and she would wake up in 9 months. You need to support her for 9 months for her to wake up and become a functioning member of society. Similarly, you have to wait for 9 months for the baby to become an infant, and then start to develop and
and then wait
gain.
another and then wait another 5 years for it to
No,
become to reach the same
wait,
level
but
of.
that's not going to change. That's not going to change the instrumental value in the long term. It just means, like, the instrumental value in the long term is going to be equal for the two people. It's just that one's going
the
to happen
ins-
before the other one.
yeah, I mean, do you not value like what's it called recency whenever you're looking into which one actually is going to be more useful, like which one
It's going to wait. So one is going to be more useful five
yeah.
years later than the other one. But it's not going to change the instrumental value in the long term. I take it that
It's
you
not.
want to.
Of course, like nobody's going to disagree with the fact that like over a long, extremely long period of time,
It's not
these two
extremely long.
things.
It's 5 more years. What?
I
Like,
mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm like 15, but 5 years seems like a long
well,
time.
look, you're gonna
But
have to wait for like the 5-year-old 10 more years to become a productive member of society. The only difference is you're going to have to wait for this frozen embryo 15 years to become a productive member of society. Like there's not this huge difference
yeah,
in time
I
preference that you're
mean,
bringing up.
if you try and like argue that, well, the 5 year old compared to like the fetuses, one of them is just a 5 year difference. I mean, it just sounds as if you're trying to trivialize the time like
No,
difference
no,
between.
wait. I'm not trying to wait. I'm not trying to trivialize the
Wait.
time. Wait,
It's
I'm
not
not trying to
even. It's
trivialize
not
the
even
time
just
difference
that.
here. I'm saying you're relying on instrumental value, and I'm saying
Mhm.
over across the period of time that these beings are living, they're going to provide the same instrumental value. So why are you picking one over the other one?
I
It just
mean,
makes no sense.
I mean, even if you like, okay, if you try and say,
Wait. Keep in mind
yeah,
the instrumental value is going to be
mhm.
5 times more great for the frozen embryos than it is for the
I mean, if
for
you
the
like
child.
try and argue this and like try and say, oh well, one of them ones they're gonna have way more instrumental value, right? One of them's gonna have like all of the value that the child has in this current moment is just going also gonna have more. Then I don't understand. Like, do you think if you say under your own worldview that you value things that you're able to relate to, and you value things that, for example, look remotely human, you value things that look anthropomorphic, right? Then and we also factor that into like more value as well. Then again, I don't understand why we wouldn't also just apply the same standard within this situation as well, even if they have the same
But
intrinsic.
can you not walk past? Can you not walk? Can
Even
you
if
address
even if
before you move
even
on to
if
this
they
critique?
okay,
Wait,
yeah,
before you move on to this critique, by the way.
I'm trying to
Look, no, no,
establish that
no.
even if I
Wait,
okay,
I don't want you to like run away from this. Before you
I
move on
don't
to
think I'm running, but okay.
look, before you move on to this critique,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make it very clear that you're relying on instrumental value. And I'm saying the instrumental value of the 5 frozen embryos in the future is going to be more than the instrumental value of the infant. So why are you picking one over the other?
Yeah, so it's going to be more okay. It's going to be more valuable than one in the future. I agree, and I think nobody disagrees
Great,
with that.
great. So you can't
However,
rely on
yes, yeah,
instrumental value.
yes, okay. Nobody disagrees that like this thing's gonna have more value in the future. Like that's fine. However, in the hypothetical you specifically provided to me, where it's like what's it called? Where it's supposed to be a split second decision. Of course, everyone is gonna value the one like that has more value with like within this current moment. But as well as that, the critique that I just gave you, which is if you value yourself, you also value like for
Wait, wait,
example.
wait. So wait,
Chill, chill,
so
chill,
wait,
chill.
wait.
You've
Can I
spoken
get
for a
clear? Can
long
I get?
time.
Wait. I want to
You've
get clear on
spoken
what
for
you're
a long
saying
time. You've
before.
spoken.
Can you stop
Okay.
stop
Mm-hmm.
dogpiling on
Go
what
ahead.
you're saying? And
Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying, and you're just keep on going.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
so you're no longer relying on the instrumental value of the five zygotes
I mean,
over
I
the
don't,
instrumental value over the girl trapped in
yeah,
the building over the five zygotes.
I don't value the instrumental value that it has within the future. Sure, I
Wait,
don't
wait.
value like,
Yes. So
yeah,
what's
okay,
making the
yes,
difference?
yeah, exactly. I already think I already explained this, but I'll repeat one
You
more time.
didn't. What's making the
Yeah,
difference in
okay.
this case?
I'll repeat one more time for you. So the hypothetical is like within a burning building. Who would I save within the current movement between the two of them, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we can also agree that even if they have like the same, if even like in if you grant that they have the same instrumental value, like even if you like stillman that for now, that they have the same instrument or the same like intrinsic value because they are both members of the human species. Generally, people seem to value things within actuality compared to like things that like
And
go to
what's
an
in
actual
actuality
like,
that what's in actuality that one's valuing to make the
what's
difference?
in actuality that's one's valuing. You could say that like one of them has a conscious experience, one of them has like
Well, no,
physical
in the
faculties, or
embryo rescue case, the person's unconscious.
the person's unconscious, so they
The
never had a
zygote's
conscious.
unconscious in the embryo rescue case.
Yeah, the zygote is unconscious, obviously, but like the
No,
person,
no, the
the
girl in the
zygote,
case is unconscious as well in the embryo rescue.
yes. So she's wait, okay. To clarify, she's always been unconscious.
Yes.
Don't you think that's just like okay?
No,
Aside from
wait.
that,
She hasn't always been unconscious. She had conscious experiences before,
oh, she's
right?
had
But
conscious
she's
experience
unconscious
before.
in the burning building.
Yeah, I think that most people, again, generally would seem to value more so things that have like established conscious experience, right? Over like things that potentially would have it. So again, in the scenario, it would be, would you value if you like had this in like two
Well,
people come up to
but
you,
that
wait, wait,
only matters to the intrinsic value of
can
the
I
being.
respond? Can I
Wait, but
respond?
Shinra,
Wait, wait,
you just said you said they
I'm
had
trying.
the same. You said they had the same intrinsic value.
Yes,
The
yes, yes.
reason people value established consciousness is because it gives these beings intrinsic value. So you're
No,
no longer
no.
committing yourself to the
Why
view
do
that
you
they have the same
why do you
intrinsic
think
value.
okay, you just like assumed that that was why I claimed to gave them intrinsic value. I think them just having the same DNA structure as like a human, they have the same like chemical makeup as a human.
Well,
That
then
would
why
be
does
what gives
established
them like
consciousness
intrinsic
matter?
value.
Why does
Okay.
established consciousness matter if
Yes,
it doesn't
because
contribute
okay,
to
yes,
intrinsic
because
value?
if they have the same intrinsic value, right, then all of these things are additional
That
to
didn't
that
answer the
intrinsic
question I
value that
asked
they
you.
it's additional to the intrinsic value that they have. So like
Wait,
we have
I
all
didn't answer the question that I asked you. I
what
asked
did
you,
you
why
ask?
does established consciousness matter if it doesn't contribute to the intrinsic value?
You think it needs to like contribute to the intrinsic value for it to like for us to
I
place
don't.
any form of more value onto it?
I think established consciousness matters because it contributes to the intrinsic value. I don't
Uh,
think there's any other way
oh,
to make
okay.
sense of what you're saying.
So okay. To be clear here, what do you think that the interest? If you say that like established consciousness contributes to intrinsic value, under your view, what do you think intrinsic value of a human would be?
Wait, what do I think intrinsic value is of or of a human is?
Yes, for of a human, what do you think it would be?
What do I think makes humans generally valuable?
Uh,
I think it's
yes.
I think it's their cognitive profile and interests and their future experiences and their present experience.
Wouldn't that already just be like established by, or wouldn't that already just be like assumed under the view that, like, what's it called, them having consciousness would be additional to their intrinsic value? If you try to say the intrinsic value is consciousness and these other things, and then you say the thing additional to it would also be consciousness, that doesn't really seem to be informative.
I don't know what you're saying at all.
If you say okay, if you say that the intrinsic value would be consciousness and other things, and then you try and like distinguish consciousness from intrinsic value while also assuming it to be part of intrinsic value at the same time, then it just isn't unintelligible to me.
What?
You're trying
Wait,
to
what? I don't.
okay.
I honestly have no idea what you're saying. I'm saying things that contribute to intrinsic
Mhm.
value are consciousness and future experiences. I don't
Yeah,
understand what your objection
yeah,
is.
okay. And then the thing that you value here, the thing that gives them intrinsic value under your view would be consciousness, a cognitive profile, and all of like and like their physiological structure, right?
Sure.
Okay, so the thing that's supposed to be additional to their intrinsic value is also part of their intrinsic value under your view.
Wait, what's supposed to be additional to their intrinsic value here?
Conscious experience.
Conscious experience isn't additional to the intrinsic value to contribute to the intrinsic value.
Repeat what you said?
Consciousness isn't not intrin isn't is important because it is intrinsic to their it contributes to their intrinsic value.
So it's important because it contributes to their intrinsic value. But you said yourself that consciousness, or you said yourself that consciousness was also part of their intrinsic value. So I'm confused
Yes,
what you
it's
mean.
part of their intrinsic value because it contributes to their intrinsic value.
It's part of it because it contributes to it. Uh,
Yes,
okay.
that's
I
what being
mean,
part of their intrinsic value means. It
no,
means it
that's the way
contributes to
you're
them having
phrasing it.
intrinsic value.
The way you're phrasing it, like, is very odd. You're like saying it as if it's completely different thing that's not part of it.
What
It just
it
like
is, it is, it is. Okay, just move on with it. I don't. It's not that
it's
hard to
addition.
understand.
Wait, it's additional to it, and then like what's
It's
it
not
called?
additional to it. It's part of the.
Uh,
What don't you
yes, it's
understand?
part. Okay, my bad. I said it wrong. It's part of it, right? And what's it called? You were trying to say that. Like, well, the initial thing you were arguing beforehand was just like prior conscious experience, since it's part of like what gives you intrinsic moral value. Then you wouldn't value, like, for example, like newly born babies which have not had any form of conscious experience prior to this, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't value them as persons.
You wouldn't value them as people.
Yeah,
So
it could still be
so
wrong to do things to those infants.
okay. So do you would say that like, it wouldn't be wrong? I mean, why do you think it would be wrong then? Actually,
Because it's wrong to do things to non-persons sometimes. I don't understand your question.
it would be wrong to do. Why? I'm trying to elaborate. I'm trying like
It's against my preferences.
it's against your preferences. I mean, I'm trying like to see if I can establish what is going to be like true for these like non-living people. That's also true for like these living people. That like makes it wrong to like kill them.
Look, is it okay to essay a doll that looks very much like a human being? No. Is the doll a
I
person?
don't know. I
No.
don't know what you'd mean. I mean, sexual assault implies like you're imposing your will upon something else, which is like
You know
actively.
exactly what I mean. I'm not literally stipulating the doll has conscious experiences. I'm
Yeah.
stipulating you do the actions that you typically take when you're essaying someone to this very human-looking doll,
Wait.
and
So,
that's still wrong, even if the doll
wait.
doesn't have a conscious profile.
You think okay? So you think that like if people use sex dolls, for example, you think we should like lock them up, right? You think like because they're doing something that's wrong, you think we should like lock them up, get them out of here.
Does
Like,
that where? How does that even follow?
uh, if what's it called? If they are so, if it's wrong to like do sexual acts with them under your view, right? Which I don't think anyone agrees with that. Like it's wrong to do sexual actions with them, right?
No, no
And
one said that it's wrong to do sexual actions.
so yeah, I don't see. Yeah, so sexually assault, you just mean like it's pinning the doll down, and
Yeah,
then
look,
like
no. It's because I
sleeping
said
with them.
it's wrong to sexually assault a doll that looks exactly like a human being. Does not mean I mean sexual actions are wrong in general, and nor does it mean I think people should be locked up for these actions. I don't know how you're drawing these conclusions.
No, not sexual. Okay, so I think you're a bit confused. I didn't say sexual actions are wrong in general. That's what I said. I said that you think, under your view, at least from what I can understand, that you think sexual actions towards this doll within this manner would be wrong and something reprehensible, right?
Yes, and how are you drawing that they should be locked up for this?
So then, okay, it was just like I was just joking, but then like I was just asking, what do you think? What do you think like about the sexual action that they're doing to the doll? You think is making it wrong? I'm so confused. Like,
It's just
if you
against my preferences. I don't have anything more to explain it. I don't know how
so
else
so
to.
there's like no real distinction between like what they're doing to the doll compared to the person, right?
How
Or
does
compared
that
to
fall?
the doll.
What
Wait,
inference? I just want to know what's going on in your mind. What inference does?
I didn't even finish like the sentence. Okay, so
I
there's no
know, and it
real
was so ridiculous. Go
there's
on.
no real distinction between like using the doll and like doing stuff to the doll and doing stuff to like what they call it, those like pokello things that people use, right? There's no real distinction between what they do to these things, right? However, you considered one of them wrong and the other one not. So again, it just like it seems extremely arbitrary to me, right? And it just sounds like you're trying to reduce the whole like value thing to, oh yeah, one of them what's it called, one of them just I like her, the other one I don't like her. So that's like my reason
Yeah,
as to
that's what I mean by wrong. I just don't like one and I like the other one. I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, so then it just seems like your preferences aren't very consistent.
What's the inconsistency here?
Well, I mean, not like particularly inconsistent. It just sounds like you have a
So
adverse
it's
reaction
inconsistent, but
to.
it's not particularly inconsistent.
No, I mean, well, that is what I mean when like I'm not trying to like say like that. It's inconsistent. It just sounds like you don't actually have any real reason as to why you dislike one rather
I
than the
gave you the
other.
real reason. I have a
Yeah,
preference against it.
yeah. I'm asking you why you have that preference, and like you just telling me again that you have that preference. Is it like
Again, I'm
vice
telling that's why it's wrong under my view. I have the preference against it. I don't know what else you want me to give you. And I'm giving you cases in which I think it would be wrong to do stuff to non-persons. I think it could be
yeah.
wrong to do things to non-persons in general. And perhaps another case in which it would be wrong to do things to non-persons is animals. Although I don't think animals have personhood, I do think it's wrong to
Mm-hmm.
do certain actions toward animals, like torture them,
Mm-hmm.
rape animals, etc.
Yeah, but generally the explanation towards those type of things would be, well, one, they also have their own conscious experience in which we value. They can feel pain. They are anthropomorphic. They look human, right? Or they look like.
Animals don't look human. I don't know.
I mean, like,
Anyway,
have you seen
uh,
a seal before? Wait a minute.
yeah,
Do I have pick
seals
bumps?
don't look human.
Yeah. Wait.
Go on.
Wait. Evil Destiny. Can you like give me pick bumps, please?
No.
Okay. I hate
Okay,
this guy.
instead of trolling, can you go on? But I gave you cases in which I think it's wrong to do things to non-humans and
Yeah.
sorry,
And the
non-persons, and so
Yeah,
I
and
don't.
all of those instances, aside from like the silly little doll analogy that you gave me, all of those instances we can actually like determine, oh, okay, so it's this, right, that is making it wrong, like that is causing you to have this like adverse preference. In most vegans would say there's no real moral distinction. Like that's why people run name the trait, right? There's no real moral distinction between an animal and a human that either doesn't lead you down a reducture or doesn't like make you inconsistent or
That's
make you
not what
going
NTT is
stupid, right?
saying, please.
Okay, yeah,
We're not
it's
saying
just
that there's no.
I'm paraphrasing, but like chill. I'm just paraphrasing for
It's
like brief.
completely wrong. It's not a
Yeah, yeah,
paraphrase.
yeah. Don't worry. I'm just like, I'm just super simplifying it. You can think it's wrong, it's fine. But most people who like run the argument just don't think there's any form of like moral distinction between the two that makes it fine to eat one and not the other. Something along those lines. So again, in that type of context, we're able to like determine that there's some form of like trait between that we both share that is causing one that like
We're,
makes them have more value to us. However, again, I don't you aren't really able to point towards the same type of thing whenever you give me the doll analogy, right? Except all you are able to tell me is, oh no, I just don't like it. It's icky.
Look,
Like
Shinra,
it
can we
doesn't
go
explain.
back to your answer to the embryo rescue case? Why you think that five beings with the same intrinsic value should not be picked over one being who has the same intrinsic value of five beings? So you'd
Oh,
pick
repeat you
one
said?
person over five people?
Do I pick one person over five people?
Yeah,
Uh
in
uh
this case.
in this scenario, I mean, I don't even know what would be like wrong specifically. I don't think there'd be anything like super ridiculous with just saying that the five fetuses just like have more moral value. I think picking either option and then like my scenario, because I'm just arguing abortion is immoral. So I think
Look,
picking either.
I don't care. I'm
Okay,
just saying
I
that I
finish.
think your view gives an
Yeah,
unintuitive answer to the embryo rescue case.
yeah.
If you're
The
saying
issue
that there's
is,
five, that these five embryos have the same intrinsic value as this one
yes,
other person, this girl in the embryo rescue case, then it only makes sense that you pick the five embryos
no,
over the
okay.
one girl. And
N-
I also
oh,
you were
I
unable
finished.
to explain it away due to instrumental value. So
Okay, so my view is simply just that abortion like is immoral, right?
can
So
you answer
whenever
the
you
embryo
give
rescue case
okay,
question?
yeah, I'm about to answer. So whenever you give me this hypothetical in which you like, would you pick five embryos over one person, right? And then I explain to you that yeah, I don't really need to force myself under these type of like moral dilemmas if I can just agree that oh yeah, both of them are immoral, right? So if
No,
both of them,
no, no. You have to say which one's more, which is more wrong
Can I
to do.
can I finish? Can I finish?
Go ahead.
Okay. So if both of them are like immoral, then I don't really concern myself, or at least I don't think my view needs like requires me to concern myself with which one is more moral, which one like give me more good brownie points, right? Because my view just
You
commits me to the
do.
view that
That's the point of the. the point
No,
of the
because
hypothetical.
my view just commits me to both of them being immoral. So if I can just force you into a situation where you'd agree that like both of these options are immoral, which you'd probably already agree to that both of these
I actually
options.
wouldn't agree to. I actually wouldn't even
Yeah,
agree
yeah,
to that. I would say that saving
yeah,
the girl in the case is the moral action to do, and letting the embryos die is the right action to do.
yeah, exactly. And we've already went over.
Even if both of them are bad, even if what you're saying and both of them are bad under your view,
Mhm.
you're still not answering what the embryo
Yeah.
rescue case wants you to answer.
So wait, question: if both of them are bad, and like we like, let's say
If
hypothetically,
both of
like,
them are bad, you have to pick one.
can I
Pick
finish?
whether one person dies or
Can I,
five persons dies. They're both bad,
can
but you should
I
pick
finish?
the one person dying over the five. It's
Okay, so can I finish? Anyway, all right.
you can
So
finish.
if we're both able to agree, like let's say I like, hypnotize you, and we're both able to agree that like both of these situations are immoral. If you come into the debate and try to establish that one of them is moral,
No, I don't
and
agree that
one
both
is
of them
not,
are
yes,
immoral.
yes, yes.
You
That,
don't even agree
dude,
with that.
that you realize that's why I said if at the start of my sentence. Okay, can I finish?
No, and no, I think it's a ridiculous position to take. Obviously, saving the girl is the moral action to do, and letting the embryos die. That's like saying picking
Mhm.
one person to die over five people to die is an immoral action. No, it's not.
Uh, wait,
No, it's not.
repeat what you said. Repeat what
That's
you
like
said real quick.
saying choosing one person to die over five people dying is an immoral action. No, it's not. Just because something bad happens in both cases doesn't mean both cases are immoral.
I mean, under my view, I think it would be. I'm more of like I ascribe
What does
myself more
immoral
to
mean
like
then?
okay, okay. Anyway, I ascribe myself more to like some form of Kantian ethics. I think because I
Yeah,
just
and
view
Kantian
the
ethics
world.
isn't.
Yeah, okay, wait, chill. I mean, under this like sense is like every single what would be moral to me would just be preserving all things that we value, and what would be immoral would be like deprivation of something in which we value. So if we value conscious experience, we value like all of the things that you said, like we value all of them, right? Any situation in which we lose something that we value, I think would be immoral. That's why I already gave you the analogy of even if like
Look,
what's it
okay,
called?
okay.
Wait, chill. That's why I gave you the
Even look,
analogy of
you're just
even
not
if I
answering the
agree
embryo
with
rescue
you,
case
even
question.
if
It's
I
just
agree with you, no. I said I can agree with you, right? I can say, sure, one of them probably has like more value. I can agree and say the girl probably has like more value than all five of the fetuses, right? And then
why?
I can still okay, wait, chill. I can still say that like what's it called? Your view is still false, even if I agree to that. Because it would still be immoral to save the girl. I could both of these options are still lead to immoral actions. What's T Jump say? Justify the moral action? Come on now, something like that. So again,
Can you just pick which one under your view?
uh, under my view, I would pick the fetuses, sure. Oh no,
Yeah.
not the
So yeah,
fetuses,
that's obviously I think that's absurd that you would pick the fetuses over the one girl.
the
That's
girl.
what the embryo rescue case.
I don't know why I said the fetus, the girl. My bad. What the hell?
Why?
Why? I think generally like people, almost every person would say that even if they do have like the same form of intrinsic moral value, that being they have the potential for conscious experience, if one of them already has some form of conscious experience already actualized, that would be the deal breaker between the two. So they have the same form of intrinsic moral value. However, most people value what's actual over what's potential.
How, what is potential? What is the end of having this
Oh, what? What did
potential
you
for?
say?
What
We've
is the
already
end of
argued
having
over
this
this
potential
before.
conscious experience that you're saying matters?
I swear we've already argued this before, but
No,
what you
you didn't. What was your answer then?
to the question? Repeat the question one more
Yeah.
time. Let me,
What is the end that having this potential conscious experience is directed toward?
what do you mean when you say what is the end there? I'm confused. Like,
What do you think instrumental value is?
what I think instrumental value is, I think did we already agree that it would just be like what is most useful? I mean, that's what you said
That's
before
not what
earlier on.
instrumental value is.
That's what you told me earlier on. You
I
can
didn't tell
define
you that. I
it.
wouldn't have told you that.
I mean,
Can you not lie?
sure. I guess I don't know. You can define it to the VC.
Instrumental value isn't valuable in and of itself. It's valuable toward some end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'd say that like it having current conscious experience under this context, the value that it has, I mean, it's just like existing within action. Okay, can I finish? It
Why
just
did you talk?
existing with. Okay, it just existing within action.
Schizophrenia, dude.
Anyways, sharp Cassie. But it just existing within this current moment in and of itself, I believe that would just like what's it called? That would be the end that it reaches, right? Because generally people want to value, or people tend to value like conscious experience in total. So the end that it reaches is that if it's actualized within this current moment, that would be the goal that we want. like the reason why we will like value this fetus is because we want to see it's like
Oh wait,
a
no, I'm
conscious
saying
experience
wait.
alive.
Why do you
So
value the girl again? Sorry.
why do I value the girl again? Because she both has a conscious experience or potential for a conscious
Yeah.
experience.
What is the
Already
conscious
has.
experience? What is the conscious experience directed toward?
What's the conscious experience directed towards? Hmm?
What
What
is the
you say?
conscious? You said you'd value the conscious experience as an instrumental value. What is it directed toward?
Wait, am I like, is my fucking Wi-Fi fucking dying? Give
And
me a
by
sec.
the way, she's
Let me
not
leave right
conscious
now.
at the moment. Also, wait, yeah, in the embryo rescue case, the girl isn't conscious. So what conscious experiences are you talking about?
Okay,
Oh,
back.
you're back. Yeah, what conscious experience are you talking about? The girl in the embryo rescue case is unconscious.
She's unconscious, but she still had conscious experience in the past, right?
Yeah, and what is having conscious experiences in the past directed toward?
Uh, yeah, so if we value just conscious experience actualizing itself at all, if at any moment it has actualized itself within the past, present, or in the future, right? I mean, well, obviously the past and the present, then of course the thing like we'd still value in that sense. We just like the end it would be reaching is just we like tend to value that the actualization of any form of potential. So if it's already like begun the process or it's happened before, then we'd also tend to like value that more than like something
What
which is.
end? Can you just name the end?
I just said that.
You didn't. You said a whole bunch of nonsense. What is the end it's directed toward?
What's the end is the okay. I'll repeat it one more time really slowly for you. Right. So we value, or the end here will just be actualizing its potential. So
You can.
if it
That's not
has
the end of having past experiences. You can actualize it without
yes,
having the past.
the goal, okay, the goal we're trying to reach is just having any form of conscious experience actualized, right? So if that
Yeah,
is
and
the
the fetus
goal,
has that
having
too. I
it,
don't understand what
so
end
yes,
the
having
past.
it in the past, okay. Anyways, so having it in the past would also further that goal because then it would have been actualized at that moment in time. And then we'd also like since it's actualized itself at that moment in time, then we'd also like value it over something which has not actualized it at any moment in time, at least currently.
What end? What is the end? You're not saying
Bro,
what's the end.
we can move on, bro.
I don't understand. What end is it directed toward?
Do you want to move on? Like I don't.
No, because you're not answering the question. You keep on saying you don't need it to have future conscious experiences. You're saying we value people's conscious experiences that are in the future, but that's not the end having past experiences are directed toward.
Is this rhetoric? Um, I'm just trying to establish that, like, I think I already said the end, and I'll say it one last time. And then if you think I
Type
didn't
it
say
out.
the end, then, like, I mean, I can't really be bothered. But if you think I didn't say the end, then we can just end the debate here. And then I'll look like an idiot. I'll look like a fool, right, in front of the entire crowd. So I repeat one
Did you
last
just
time.
say the end?
We
Holy shit.
value, chill, don't worry. I had to monologue a little bit. But if we value conscious experience being actualized at all, right, if it actualizes itself at any moment in time, then that would be something that we value because then it would have fulfilled the goal, which would be actualizing like his conscious experience. And the crowd went silent.
Okay, so
Don't worry.
if we value experiences as actualized being at all, if it actualizes at any moment of time, it fulfills the goal of actualizing this conscious experiences. It fulfills so having past experiences fulfills the goals of actualizing this conscious experiences. No, it does not. Your past
So,
experiences are not what actualizes the conscious experiences.
no, it
That's
fulfills the
that's
goal
the
of having
cognitive
an actual
faculties in your
conscious.
brain.
Okay, I don't know, like maybe you're trying to like misinterpret me on purpose. I
I
think it's
literally typed exactly what you said.
don't worry. Right? I'll
Exactly
explain
your
it to you.
words.
So if the goal is just having actual conscious experience, right? Then if the goal is them having an actual conscious experience, them having it in the past is surprisingly, I know like shocker, is actual conscious experience. A equals A type shit, you know?
But look, what do you think goals are directed toward things in the future? They're not. You can't. You can't
Uh,
direct the goal towards something in the past. The
I
past is
mean,
settled.
no, okay.
Well,
So if generally whenever a human begins to exist, we value it having an actual conscious experience at any moment, right? Then even if it has it in the past, it has already fulfilled this goal that we want for it, right? And the goal would be having
no.
an actual
When
conscious
someone's saying that it has
experience.
instrumental value, it's to fulfill a future goal. They're not saying it's fulfilling a
Oh,
goal in the past. That's not what people mean when they say something has instrumental value.
oh.
And
But so that, I mean, when I asked you what instrumental value meant before, maybe you slipped up. I'll give you benefit of the doubt.
What did I slip
You didn't
up in
really have it.
saying?
You didn't really
It's
like add them.
valuable toward some end. Some end is not in the past. You can't settle
Hmm?
something in the past is settled. You can't direct something towards something in the past because it's already settled. It just doesn't make any sense to do.
I mean, I think we can have a goal that we have a goal that becomes apparent to us immediately we come into
Can we
existence,
fulfill a
and then
goal? Wait,
and
can we
then like
fulfill a goal in the
even if
past?
even if this goal isn't fulfilled within this current moment, it has already been fulfilled. If you get what I mean. So, do you want to conclude? Uh, I'll share
Wait,
my.
if the goal has already been fulfilled, there's no instrumental value out of it because the goal has already been fulfilled. You can't direct something towards something that's already been fulfilled. To direct
Why did
action towards something is to fulfill that goal.
repeat what you said? That just sounded like word salad
And
to me. I'm not gonna lie.
something has instrumental value if it, you know, is directed toward fulfilling a goal. If a goal is already fulfilled, then it has no instrumental value because it's not fulfilling the goal.
It has no instrumental value. I mean, if you think, wait, do you think that instrumental value can only be directed to things that are in the future? One, I don't
I
think
don't
that.
think something has
Yeah,
instrumental value if the past is already settled. What goal are you? What end is it for if
yeah.
it's already
So,
settled?
so I mean, I think that we already just have like preset like goals that we have. At least like generally, we have preset goals we have upon coming into existence in general. So if the goals are established before this thing has any form of like established conscious experience, and then it has it, and then over time we then are placed within this hypothetical, then it would already have its like instrumental value fulfilled. Like it's already like checked off all the boxes. If you
That's
get what
you're using. You don't know what is instrumental value. You're
you
using the terms in just a
you
very
already
confused way. It's
you already like told me you like
can you tell
educate you
me what it
sat
is
me
because you're constantly misusing it.
you sat me down and you educated me. So
What is instrumental value?
I'll repeat back to you like your explanation. Give me a second. Like, I wrote it down. I wrote it down. Let me check through my notes.
You can write.
I hate this guy. I hate you. Don't worry. Wait a second. Why is my phone overheating? What the hell? Yo.
Like I literally could not care less what some idiotic audience thinks. Please.
I mean, like, this was not addressed at you at all, but like, since you brought it up, you clearly care. Like, just let me like tell you
Look,
that right
you posted in the chat. I couldn't care less what this audience thinks. Honestly,
now. I mean, like, you could say that, but like, you're low key like, pressed. Boy, shut your
if
bitch
you
ass
guys can
up.
name me five, if you guys can name me five abortion papers, I'll care what you think.
Five
Wow.
abortion papers.
Wait.
That's how you'll
He's
care.
he's going paper for paper with the VC. Okay. So this
Perfect.
is this how I understand like instrumental value. Instrumental value is just the worth or usefulness or something based on its ability to achieve a desired outcome. Would
Yeah,
you
what
say?
outcome are you achieving that's already fulfilled? What desired outcome? You can't go and you can't achieve something if it's already fulfilled in the past. That's not how it works.
So would you say that like this thing has or had instrumental value? Or I mean, it still has instrumental value. The instrumental value here would be its ability to achieve a desired outcome, and this humans or this baby's already been like actualized. It has way better cognitive faculties than the actual person. And instrumental value, we're just valuing its ability. Then of course we value the thing with already established like physiological states over the thing which doesn't have.
Instrumental value. We're valuing their ability. No, we're we're
So
okay. We're valuing
yeah,
how useful they are towards some end. And the end you're looking
I
for, the
thought you
goal
just
you
agreed.
set out, is having conscious experiences. And in no way is having past experiences fulfilling the goal of having these experiences in the future.
So, in like you agreed to the definition I just set out to you initially, and then you started disagreeing with it when I referenced it as a defeater to your point. So I'm like confused. Do you agree with it? Do you
What's a
disagree?
feeder to my point? I just don't
Okay.
understand.
So if you value its ability to reach this certain goal, then you'd also have to take into account the fact that if it already has these like states, these like physiological states needed, right, that grants it greater ability to achieve this goal compared to the fetuses, then you'd
No,
also have to
wait.
agree
So
that this
okay,
greater
that's a
instrumental value.
completely different claim. You're saying having experiences in the past gives it greater ability to have experiences in the future. Why would I think that?
What'd you say?
Why would I think that having experiences in the past gives a greater ability to have experiences in the future?
It doesn't even specifically have to be like what's it called? Oh, it doesn't specifically have to be experiences in the past. Experience in the past just displays its ability to achieve this thing. So if it has the
Well,
ability
yeah,
to
and I
achieve,
stipulated in the hypothetical that all of these zygotes will have these experiences in the future.
yeah, they do in the future. But if I'm determining whether or not their ability to do this thing, right, then of course they like also your ability is going to be determined, right, by your physiological state within the moment. So if it's like
Well,
it's
no,
determined
the
by
unconscious girl doesn't have the ability to have conscious experiences either.
yes, she has the physiological state needed to, right?
Yeah, wait, they both have the biological states that are needed to have experiences in the future.
Does it have it? Does it have it at the point of the hypothetical? No, because it's an embryo. We can move on.
And wait, are you saying embryos don't have the potential for conscious experiences?
No, we can move on.
No, zygotes
Yep,
don't have the potential for future experiences.
that's not what I said. Please track. We can move on.
You said
Oh my
no,
god.
and then you
Yeah.
do they or do they
Okay.
not? In
I'll
both
repeat.
cases,
I'll
these
repeat
beings have
one
the
more
potential
time.
for these future
Both
experiences.
of them. Both of them have potential for future experience, right? However,
Yes.
However, one of them already has like what's it called? Has all of the physiological states needed to do this thing. So even though both of them have this
What
potential,
physiological states?
uh, it's a fully developed child.
Oh,
So one
wait,
of them will.
you're just saying it has the brain states. I mean,
Yes,
you're saying that it has the brain structures there actually.
yes. So then under like what's it
And
called? Under the
why
logic
would I care about that again for instrumental value?
for this. So if the thing we're valuing here is like potential, I think obviously most people would say a sperm cell's potential for life is less than a like an embryo's, right? So in the same way, if this like child is like way more developed than the like embryo, then this thing would have like more instrumental value. Like even if I like went under your view, it would have more like instrumental value to go under your view, like or to go under like or to have more
But wait,
potential.
we know for a fact
Right?
these embryos are going to live and survive to the future, and they'll both have conscious experiences.
Yes, we know that we know that they're going to have it within the future, right? However, we're determining within this current moment which one has more instrumental value. Then, of course, the obvious answer is going to be like the
No,
5-year-old.
no, it's not. I think 5 embryos that will all have conscious experience in the future will definitely have more instrumental value to society because it's 5 people over one.
Wait, give me a second.
How will 5 people have less instrumental value to society than one person? I just don't understand.
Yeah, what were you saying?
How will 5 people have less instrumental value to society than one person?
Because none of them, even in conjunction, have like what's it called? None of them even have the like conjunction. Like even in conjunction, they do not have the physiological states even comparable to a
That
5-year.
doesn't mean they won't have the wait. They'll all have conscious
Yeah,
experiences in the future.
yeah. Okay, that's
Physiological
cool.
states.
That's cool. If you're trying to give me, okay, dude, the only way you'd be able to save your argument is by changing the hypothetical. If you're trying to
I
make me make,
didn't. This is the same
yes,
hypothetical I've been
yes, yes,
giving you for 30
yes.
minutes.
So
If you
if you're
actually
trying to
listen.
like make me, like, if you're trying to, okay, I'm about to like leave in a second, but if I'm going to try like, because I need to go to sleep, but if I'm going to try and make me make this split second decision between the two of them, which one do you value more within this current moment? I'd say that the 5-year-old has greater potential for life because it has like what's it called? It has already established physiological states. So
What
like,
do you mean by potential?
uh, if left on its own, given proper nutrients, one of them is going to be able to actualize its potential for life, like
We
way
stipulated that
faster.
they'd all have conscious experiences in the future, if left
Yeah,
in nutrients.
yes, yeah. I think like yeah, the difference is like one of them requires significantly more effort compared to the other one. Like, but I need to sleep now, so we can talk tomorrow. But I've already established this before. Uh, we, I'm gonna go sleep.
That was what? Okay.